as if, hey, give them this and give them that. Materialistic things. Our kids are dying. But we can't continue to sit around and talk about let's take back the community. I don't have no problem with what every other organization is talking about, but my spirit tells me don't worry about the community. Worry about our future leaders. Worry about our young people. Worry about them living. Because every young person that's out there that's dying is gone. Wherever God send them to, because he judges you, and the place you be is in purgatory until he decide where you're going to go. If you're coming back to earth or you move on up the ladder into the universe, because that universe is big out there. And for us to sit around and think it ain't nobody else out there in that universe, it is something wrong with your education. It is something wrong. I don't care, the professors, psychics. If you thinking God made all this marvel and you and I are the only people in this universe, it is something wrong with your thinking. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a genius. Some things are just common sense. Some things that we say and believe, we don't even realize that God is in control. So when we're thinking that God put a planet, all this beauty, all these wonderful things, and we're the only ones here. Why do you sleep at night? Or why do you get up and go to work in the morning? Man don't control this earth. As the old gospel songs that the slaves and gospel singers said, this world is not my home, for I'm only passing through. You're passing through. Because God, your time is laid up in heaven. The true keeper of time is keeping. But I know the angels in heaven are weeping. I know God is saying, you're not talking to me no more. 2 years, the churches were closed down. 2 years. Was anybody talking to God? Was anybody talking to God? You could see the church on the internet. How many churches, if you looked at the numbers, like I look at mine, or they can see them and you probably don't, will tell you how many people was tuned in to church. It was less people in church on the internet, where there's less in the churches today. Not all churches, but a lot of churches have come back to having service, or having their members back in church, and some of them have good people coming back to church. There's a lot of people, if you see them on the internet. I know around here, I don't know because I don't visit a lot of churches, but today we have to ask ourselves what's going on with our future generation. But since I did mention church, I want to let you know MCM Agency, this is Mr. Brown, who's bringing in a gospel concert on June the 25th. Vicki Winings is going to be in concert. Let me get that information before I start chattering too much, because I put stuff places and then I forget to put it on my screen. But she's going to be in Norfolk on June 25th, And just in case you never heard of Vicki Winans, she's a award-winning artist, and she's played on all the gospel stations in this area. Because when I used to be at WVDM, WZAM 1110, I used to play her music, and this is one of her songs. And I hope she sing this, because if she sing this, the church is going to be filled.
You know, back in the day when we used to have testimony service, my mama would stand up on her feet and she'd throw her head back and sing songs like this. She said, how I got over, how I got over, my soul, yes, I can. I made it over, my soul, yes. Wait a minute, when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all he's done for me, if it had not been for his mercy, God knows where I would be. He brought me through great trials in spite of the enemy. So, yes, I got.
That's going to be at the Mount Lebanon Baptist Church in Norfolk at 1141 Campus Stella Road, where the Reverend Bobby A. Bowser. Doors will open at 4 o'clock. Concert starts at 5. And, you know, tickets are available. So if you want to call Miss Moore, you can call 757-630-6248 to get your ticket for this concert. And there are different prices for the tickets. And if you got kids, this is important. Why I'm help promoting this heavily, because if you got kids that are 12 and under, they get in this concert free. That's right, free concert. And also, this young lady is going to be singing and performing. I'm talking about Hope Share. She's going to be hosting the event. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a grand time, June 25th. And let me show you. This young man here is going to be singing Stanley Ray Jr. You know, one of his #1 songs is How Many of Y'all Know Jesus Is Real? This is important because what I'm trying to get you to understand, that not that you don't understand, but the reason why I do what I do is for the youth. Reason why I started this talk show is for the youth and the community. Because it's not about me. It's about our future generation. We are losing too many young people. And we got to do better than what we're doing. With all I see on the news, in every 7 cities, somebody's dying. Not only is young people dying, men and women are dying. With all the beautiful things that we have in life, that the planet offers us at this stage of our lives, the opportunities that we could, our future generation can have an opportunity to learn and live a prosperous life, is slipping away. And we got to do much more than lip service. That's why I didn't bring any guests on today. That's why I didn't put anything up last night to let you know. Of course, for those that do follow the show, know that I come on every Tuesday and Saturday with the best of the 757 community talk show. It's about exploring the need of love. Our young people are dying because there's no love. Nobody's talking about love. We're talking about having sex. We talk about the love of money. We talk about getting the bag. And hopefully this Saturday, I'll be bringing on a young lady that has and sells insurance, and she's also a minister. But how is it we're not prepared for anything with all this violence going on? You see on Facebook, if you be on there much as I do or less, some parents can't even afford to bury their child after a violent situation. They have to go to GoFund. Please, can you help me, spare me, loan me to help me bury my child? But I'm bringing on a young lady to talk about attaining policies, insurance policies for the unexpected. And it's not that we're just talking about people dying, but that is unexpectedly going on today, even with the seniors. Seniors have policies they're taken out when they was on their job, if they're working. Most adults have insurance on their job if they're working. They're prepared. Are we preparing our future generation for the inevitable? We can talk all day about having a good time. We can talk all day about going to the casino. We can talk all day about after work parties and going to the club at night. But are we prepared for life unexpected situations that occur? That's why when I put up sometimes the picture on my Facebook, and sometimes when I do the talk show, I haven't showed it lately here, but when I was in the hospital with COVID, after a few days in the hospital with COVID-19, my wife had talked to the doctor and he told her to get the family together because I don't think he's going to make it. So y'all need to come over as soon as you can, because that's when they will put you on the heavy oxygen tank. And when you was on that, most people didn't wake up from it. They put you in a coma. They had to slow your regular breathing down and put you on that to fight COVID-19. But for some reason, God allowed me to wake up, and the nurse brought me something to eat. And I think my wife told me that the doctor said I ate some string beans. Good thing for them vegetables, baby, because, hey, they was trying to check me out. They was trying to take me out of here. But, hey, the doctor said he ate some string beans. Kind of remind me of Martin Luther King's speech when he was marching and the lady stabbed him in the chest. And Martin Luther King said if the doctor told him if he had a sneeze, he would have died. If he had a sneeze, he would have never made I Had a Dream speech. So when my wife told me about the string beans, I eat my vegetables every day now. I eat all kind of vegetables, raw vegetables, steamed vegetables, fried vegetables. I don't care how, just give them to me. And I'm just getting back my strength. You know, last couple of months I've been going to the recreation center because I wasn't going to give in to walking with a walker or a cane. God made it so that I'm able to walk almost regular now. I'm thinking about joining the Olympics. Hey, you don't know, I might win. Now, you know, my eyes are getting better. When I was going to the doctor, and she was giving me 2 shots every time I go in the office in my eyes. And then when I say how many I have to take, she said, I don't know, 10 or maybe 100. And you ain't pimping me. I don't like taking medicine anyway. I don't usually take medicine, but if some things I do and some things I try to do whatever it takes to stop. I don't tell people don't follow your doctor directions. I pray because the medicine really wasn't working. So I started praying, and God made it so that I was able to clear up my eyesight a little more. But like I keep explaining to people, it's not a hard case when it comes to doing things that when you're working and when you're trying to do something, um, that it's important to see what's going on. But like I said before, let me play one of those other songs that another person is going to be on the show this week. Is this young lady right here? It's going to be hosting the show. I'm talking about
Oh,
Folk
yeah,
Share.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. I tried and I tried. I can't seem to get it right. If I keep my eyes on you, I know that you will see me through. I tried and I tried, but I got to keep up the fight. This war with my flesh ain't right. By your grace I will stand upright.
It seems my life has been so very hard. Sometimes it's hard to try and live the part.
Try to live the
Do
part.
what my God would have me to do.
Have me to do.
This heart of mine, I'm so sick of you.
I try and I try, but I got to keep up the fight. This war with my flesh ain't right. By your grace I will stand upright.
Uh-oh. I can't hear you now. Let me try this again. Can you hear me? Oh, I still can't hear you. I'm gonna pop back on when I get home. I was trying to do something since I was sitting here at a stop sign.
to get to know you a little better. To promise you won't change up like the weather. 'Cause when you get with me, we'll last forever. There's nothing better. My love is like a feather. I'm so gentle. I'll be gentle with your heart. I feel your mental. The ride will open from the start. I'm sentimental. And we'll never grow apart, you see. You never wanna leave. Life is nothing without a little love. Just a little love to share. So let me show you something that you've never been a part of. And I will take you there, so take.
Hi. Okay, I can't hear you. I heard the music playing, but I can't hear you now. I'm a
Can
little
you hear
bit
me?
confused.
Can you hear me
There we
now?
go. Okay,
Okay.
now I can hear you. That was starting
Okay.
to scare me because I was like, I know I was trying for my phone before and it didn't work, but now I'm on a
Yeah.
different device.
Yeah, that's my colleague from Old Dominion University, WODU Studios, and now she has her own Simply C podcast on the World
Yes.
Wide Web. You're on Instagram and YouTube, and you're on Facebook as well.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So say hello to the audience and let them know a little bit about you. I just had a couple of questions because you're that new generation, the generation where we have to protect. You're like the sick. Youth is like the secrets of the FBI, CIA, and the
Yeah.
military. We ain't
It's,
protecting them.
it's funny you said that because I just saw David and we did a podcast, and in the
Uh,
beginning, he was like, there's a bunch of elders that I see, and they're talking about all their experiences and what happened to them 30, 40, 50 years ago. Like, why don't we talk to the people it's happening to now? And I'm sitting there, and in my mind, I'm like, they do. At least the people I interact with, like, it's we're so blessed to be in such a diverse community of
uh-huh.
people who share stories and kind of
Mm,
take value in hearing the journeys of one another.
right,
So I really appreciate you for offering that platform because he really did just say that that's all he sees is people telling us what they've done and what has worked and not really showing us like the current process.
right,
And your platform also offers a space where you present that, but then you also have living evidence of how people are doing that in the community, in the political community, and all these different aspects of our society. So,
right.
yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but a reason why a lot of people don't do it is because they everybody feels threatening when you're working on something.
But why? Just share. Like, I like podcasting and working with David today. I realized there's stuff he still has to learn. He still has the heart for it. But
Right.
because he has the heart for it, I don't mind working with him. So
Uh-huh.
when it came to some of the stuff that we were trying to figure out, like preparedness is one thing. You can't learn preparedness without the experiences and understanding that this is what it's just going to take that. Like, hey,
Right.
you should have had this stuff, and this stuff ready. Well, I usually do it like an hour before. And I'm like, yes, but
Mhm.
no, you should have did it the day before, and
Are you
being able to
still
work with each other.
talking about David who used to come to the studio?
Yeah, same David.
Oh,
He's
y'all.
trying to start his own podcast now, but he's still
Okay.
got some stuff to work out. And I'm like, it felt good to understand that only comes with experience and that only
Uh-huh.
comes with time and practice.
Oh, okay. I was saying when you said David, I'm like, I know you're doing so many things now. I thought you was, as you working with, radio or television. I'm like, maybe that's somebody at another David.
No, it's the same David. I miss
So he didn't
the
he's back working with you or
yeah.
bothering you or
So he's starting his own show, and so
okay.
he wanted to record an episode today, but we were kind of unprepared. There's literally one thing that I should have added in my camera bag when I gave him my camera that I
Uh-huh.
didn't, and so it kind of threw a kink in today as far as even getting started. But like once we got started, I was like, wait, but you have all this other stuff, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, why didn't you set it up if you knew we were gonna do this at 10 o'clock? Like you're
Yeah,
setting up at 10 o'clock.
last minute.
Yeah, but it's okay. He's still young. He's still
Yeah.
learning. We still got through the episode. It was a really good conversation. We didn't
Well,
even have enough time.
well, that's what I'm saying when it comes to you. That's why I always bring you on and, try to share things and, listen to what you're doing and compliment you on being patient with people. You are patient with him because I met you, met him through you at Old Dominion. And, that's been what? Almost,
Years.
yeah. And, he's coming along. He's as what they call a work in progress.
He's calming down a lot. It was a lot of he's still trying to get his stuff together. So yeah.
When you speak to him, tell him I say hello. And, maybe the next time you're on, you could invite him to come on or let me know.
Okay, I can do that.
The platform is basically I design the platform for people that's trying to improve their lives and document it so that people can't say that nobody was doing anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going on today with the violence. Because the young people said, I'm fed up.
And they have nothing to do here. There's literally nothing to do but eat and cause trouble out here. Unless you're like this trained to be like I had parents who, if we said we're bored, go read a book. Well, there's no books to read. They gave us a book. Oh, okay. Well, go do an exercise, go outside, go be social, go play. Come do this with me. They gave us stuff to do to keep busy because they had the luxury to be available sometimes. And then even though the military lifestyle had its like complications, but also had its like pluses, we were always secured in a community that offered diverse perspectives, diverse experiences. I always talk about living in Hawaii because that was our first duty station away from home, but that was also our first real community. We could walk to our neighbor's house. They'd let us in. We'd have lunch with the kids. We'd have family parties. We would have get-togethers. We had something, we talked to each other. We don't have that here. Like I look and I see the kids catch the bus and they get right out of a car, get right on a bus. They go to school. They do their day. They come home. They go back to the car.
And that's the key point. And like I said, is because most of my life, my adult life, I was always working because it was important to make sure that, as my mom or dad used to say, have a roof over your head.
Have some food. Attention.
Yeah, keep some food in the refrigerator and some shoes on your feet. You may not have the best of things, but by not having the best of things, you cherish the things that you did have.
Correct.
And when I had kids, I do whatever it takes other than robbing and stealing to take care of my kids. I work from $1 an hour to $5 an hour to $7 an hour to, I think, before I stop and start working for myself, I might have got up to $12 an hour. And after that, I got fired.
He was making too much money.
Yeah, I was making too much. After taxes, I was bringing home about $200, do something. Sad. And people don't understand is the prices that we pay today was already predicted back in the 60s and 70s. What food costs. This ain't nothing new. It's just that you're not conscious of the studies and research. And all the population growth, all these things that go into play.
It's really funny you said that because that's a part of what we were talking about today. He was saying that something about technology and devices, like what's really going to be the next big boom. And I was like, is it really a big boom if it's already existed? Like AI has been a thing for how long? And they just now released it to the general public.
Right.
Electric cars have been a thing for how long? I said, the question isn't if it's existing. The question is it available to the general public? The question is, are you watching these sci-fi things? Are you reading these news articles? Are you paying attention to what these people are saying today? And then watching as it happens, because we're going to sound like y'all talking about, man, y'all think this is new. This ain't new.
Right. It's not. That's why I did my color. That's why I took the storyboards that I had an artist to do, all the work I put into it. I mean, I'd come up with the stories. I let them, have a little leadway in correcting something. And if I read it, I didn't like it, take that out. I don't want that in there. But like, it's only talking about a gun. What part you don't understand? I don't want it in the script.
Nope.
We're not showing
I only
guns.
want this.
We're not showing any fighting.
Mm-hmm.
If he's fighting me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm known to fight. Because they're my stories. They're my stories of true stories of my life. I just had them turn into comic book stories
Mm-hmm.
or storyboards. This is how I live. This is how I took care of people that were strangers, that other people I didn't know wanted to fight them. You ain't fighting them. You want to fight, you got to go through me, partner. I run a club. I got 12 to 15 security that's trained by the military and other security companies.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess up here, bro. I'll do this. No, you won't. I tell you what, you're going to have to leave the premises. I ain't leaving nothing. And then nobody better not put their hands on me. All right, you're right. Ain't nobody going to put their hands on it. It's going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I put you out. Then I turn around and hand you over to my security.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I hand you over to my security, you in handcuffs, and we're going to hand you over to the police department.
Mm-hmm. Which is no fun.
Right. So when people don't understand, a lot of people during my career went to jail unnecessarily or calling me, begging me, and their parents are coming up, their grandmama's calling. Please let my granddaughters back in your club, sir. They promise they won't do. I promise you they won't do anything. But they shouldn't be fighting in the first place. These are grown women, 23, 24 years old, and their grandmother is calling me to let them back in the club.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I tell you what, because you called and asked, if they give me their word that they won't create another disturbance, then I will let them back in on a trial basis.
Like
but you have to have them, you have to have them call me and tell me, and because you asked me, I'm doing it as a favor to you. You got a 70-year-old lady calling me, begging me, can my granddaughters come back in the club? That's 20, 21 or 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But they called me back and said, Cam, I'm sorry, but the girl was, I don't want to know no excuse. You're going to give me your word before you step foot back on this property that you're not going to be involved in anything. And if you got a problem with somebody, come tell me. Nobody owns the club. I work for people that employ me to make sure it's run properly. And that's what I do with anything I do. It's either going to run properly or I ain't going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's come with the owners as well. If they're telling me, well, I know he's one of my friends, I've been knowing him for a long time, but go ahead and let him in anyway. Say what?
You do that for one, you do that for them all.
I'm not letting him in the club. You can let him in the club, but I ain't gonna let him in. That's when I make exit.
Yeah.
And I be making real money.
Yeah.
But I am an entertainer. So what they try to do is combine my entertainment with the title manager. So I won't leave because that's a bigger salary. And
entertainer.
Yeah, but it keeps me locked into one club. Because like I've turned down places where I could have been in 3. The owners had 4 and 5 clubs, and their family had clubs in other cities and states. And they wanted me to come and play at their venues. And I turned them down. But like I keep telling people, I didn't entertain people in New York. Half the DJs here ain't entertaining, but the people that's in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
So without knowing the experience of a different audience, different settings, and different attitudes of people they don't know.
No, they don't
So,
know. I experienced a similar situation in what you're mentioning
uh-huh,
at the mental health symposium for the school, where
uh-huh,
one of the speakers, he was a football player, and he had the football team the night before all hyped up and all this other stuff. They were excited, they could relate, but
mhm,
it was for athletics in general.
right,
And he didn't alter his speech at all for the next day. And so
right,
when he got the crowd of the soccer players, the swimmers, the football, not football, but field hockey, all the other sports except for football, and he tried to approach it the same way, the crowd just blinked back at him. And I bust out laughing a little bit on the inside because it
right,
showed that, like, the way he was presenting himself had such a bravado about him that it was
uh-huh,
like, oh, okay, so this is going to be interesting to see the next day. But I didn't even like film anymore because it was the exact same spiel that didn't really touch the guests of the next day,
right.
because he was trying to overhype it for a crowd that's kind of just the kids who like to read.
Yeah. And that's the key point. Like, with me, I don't like I don't like making notes if I'm going to speak.
Right.
And when I was at Tidewater Community College, I had got a scholarship. So they called me and said, "Hey, Mr. Bond, you got a scholarship, and congratulations. But we want to ask, would you be a speaker for the college?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." I said, "How long it's got to be?" It's only going to be about 3 to 5 minutes at the most, because there are other speakers. But we want you to do it because of you. You're from the art, the art institution of Tidewater Community College is a standalone. It was a standalone art studios
Mm-hmm.
in downtown Portsmouth, but they closed it and transferred all the classes to the campus, to the Tidewater Community campus they built. But I said, okay, I can do that. She said, can you give me a copy of what you're gonna say?
They
I
want to
said,
screen it first.
right. I said, I really don't write what I'm gonna say because it's spiritual. I don't do writing. Right. She said,
Mm-hmm.
no, oh no. You have to write it. We have to make sure that it ain't nothing, that's gonna offend our donors.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I wrote it and gave it to her. She said, okay, we approve that. Yeah, but even then, when because it's like I don't want to try to. It's not authentic.
Yeah.
When I say real, the real book of the real adventures of Captain 85, it means that it's not practiced. That's why I do everything and I stumble sometimes. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
reading notes. If I do have to do commercials about something, but if I'm just doing it, I just like to emphasize it, and I don't like to record it. And but everybody wants to let me use your voice. Do this though.
Yeah.
I want you to record it. I don't want to give somebody else. Just pay somebody else. I don't
Yeah.
want to do it. So, but nevertheless, it's not authentic if I have to write it down.
Right.
You
No, I
know,
get it. I feel the
so
same way. Some things I think I should do prepared, but some things, like when it comes to the podcast,
right,
anytime I had tried to be prepared for my podcast, it fell through. And
right.
I have grew up a planner. Like I planned my entire life out until I was the age of 22, and we moved to New Jersey, and I couldn't accomplish the things I set out for myself.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of set me back. And then getting to college and realizing that all that I had set myself up to do, I didn't really want to do once I got to university. So that also set me back because I had this idea of where I wanted my life to go. And then things just kept happening that kept changing it. And the same thing applied with the podcast. I would set up goals and I would meet some of those goals, but then I wouldn't meet some other goals. Or the way I would meet them just felt so messy. And but it was the most structured. You know how you plan out like how many minutes you want your episode to be, kind of break it up.
Mhm.
figure out what your topics are going to be, how you're going to have a conversation. People don't work like that.
Right.
So I preface them and I say, like, hey, my goal is to reach people around the world. I want to connect communities, so profanity is not allowed.
Right.
I give a grace of about 10 words. So if it just slips, that's fine. If it slips and it's appropriate, that's fine. But if it's completely inappropriate and it's on purpose, like I had a guest repeatedly do that, then I can't use the content and it's just going to have to be null and void.
Right.
Um, and that's about the only stipulations I put to it. I make some questions and I don't even get to all those questions. Like with David today, he had a whole list of questions and
Mhm.
he got to 3 questions. And we kept going on different tangents about those 3 questions and then coming back to the answers. And then he would go to the next question and then another 10 to 15-minute tangent. And then he's like, oh, well, I did all of this. We kind of just had a conversation. He's like, but that's the point of the podcast. So, like that's where I came to with my content.
Mhm.
I structure my file organizations. I structure my communication. I structure some of my production as far as like releasing the information. But as far as creating the content, like you said, we put stipulations on it. The spirit doesn't want to flow.
Right. And that's all the time we got. We got less than 30 minutes. I just want to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule to pop in for a moment, because it's important for people to know that, like I said, I didn't want to do a topic today. I just wanted to say, let's talk,
Mm-hmm.
and try to let people understand that we have to do more than, lip service, because young people are dying. And like I
Mm-hmm.
keep trying to tell people, ain't nobody crying. Nobody's crying. If you look at the news, most of the people that had a child or somebody die from gun violence, suicide, they ain't sharing no tears.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I want to thank you and hopefully get you and David on, if y'all available for one day next week on a Saturday or something, let me know. And
Okay.
because, I just want to keep the emphases on young people and the emphases that we have to do to control the narrative that we're involved in today.
Yeah.
All righty then. Well, people, that's all the time we got for today. And don't forget to share this link with other people on your page. And don't forget, Simply See podcasts and check her out on. Give me your information again.
So my persona name is Simply CC. My podcast is Simply First Class Podcast, and my
Mhm.
production company is Simply First Class Productions. This summer I have off, so I intend to be putting out more content.
Okay.
So I'm working on things I call antemortem autobiographies, where people will tell their stories on a video
Mhm.
instead of having ceremonies, because a lot of people have been going through death. Families are wanting to like share their stories and then send the video out to a family so that they have a package of, hey, I love you, da 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 da, kind of thing. We're
Mhm.
also working on vlogging, travel videos, and maybe a short video this summer,
Mhm.
like a short movie or something.
Oh, okay. And Miss Teresa Riddick is saying hi, Simply See.
Hello.
So there you have it. Teresa, I'm gonna be playing some more Janet Jackson. I know you probably was at the concert on Sunday. That's why the traffic jam, because you tried to get up. You left lady. You held up the traffic because you want to get up there close to Janet Jackson. Like I said, Teresa is one of my favorite viewers. She's always supporting the best of the 757 and WBDM radio. To the next time we meet, to the next time we greet, remember to love yourself and put God first. Everything else will fall in place. It doesn't matter what others think about you. It's what you think about yourself. To each and all those that are viewed now or later, thank you for supporting the best of the 757 Community Talk Show and WBDM Radio. Bye-bye, y'all.